The New Hampshire primary results were devastating for Hillary Clinton. That was an amazing defeat. It was at the outer edge of the polling in terms of margin, 60 to 38, a 22-point defeat. But what's especially important about it is that it was not a classical liberal conservative race. Because when you look at the areas where Obama defeated Hillary in 2008, which was also a kind of liberal conservative contest, Sanders' margins were about the same as Obama's. Where Sanders piled up a margin in areas Hillary had formerly carried were moderate and conservative parts of the state. So the message here is that issues did not cause this dramatic shift. What caused it was the issue of integrity and trustworthiness and honesty, things that's going to be very hard for Hillary to overcome. In fact, in one of the exit polls, they asked people, what's the most important quality you think of in choosing a president? And they gave them a list of them, and 34% said honesty and integrity. And of the ones who said that, they voted for Sanders by 95 to 5. So in a real sense, we have two completely different contests going on. There's a left-right contest between the radical Bernie Sanders, take over the banks, reenact Glass-Steagall, $15 minimum wage and the whole bit, and the more moderate Hillary Clinton, regulate banks less severely, don't raise taxes as much, raise the minimum wage more gradually, be tougher on defense. And that traditional left-right dialogue is going on, but it's not the important factor. What's the important factor is the email scandal, the speaking fees, the disclosure of the Benghazi information, and Hillary's penchant for constantly, continuously, habitually lying. Hillary literally, and I know this well from knowing her well, conceives in her mind 4 or 5 options to answer each question and chooses the one that's most expedient, and there's no particular value given to the one that's true. If it's most expedient, she'll give it. If it's not, she'll give the most expedient one anyway. So can Hillary recover from this? In her, quote, concession speech last night, she basically did a replay of Bernie's issues, trying to steal them from her, talking all about the forgotten little person and the big banks and all of that stuff. Well, it's going to be a hard job for her to steal those issues given her speaking fees and her contributions. But even if she were to do so, that would not save the election for her, because the fundamental issue of integrity is her biggest problem. Now, where does she go from here? So far, the evidence is that Hillary can count on the black vote. We know that only through polling, because there is no black vote in either Iowa or New Hampshire that we can measure. And in the polling, Bernie has been down around 20% of the black vote, but there's evidence that in January he perked up to 27%. We don't know what the current figures are. But taking it as a given that the black vote is in line for Hillary, that probably guarantees her a win in South Carolina, where half of the Democratic primary vote is African American. Then as we go on into the Super Tuesday states, where a third of the delegates will be selected, only in 3 states, Alabama, Georgia, and Virginia, is the black vote large enough to control the statewide outcome. In 3 other states, Texas, Tennessee, and Arkansas, the black vote is significant enough to control 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 congressional districts, but not the statewide result and not the other congressional districts, because the vote is so concentrated. And in the remaining Super Tuesday states, comprising more than half the delegates, there is very little black vote, from in Oklahoma, Wyoming, Idaho, Massachusetts, Minnesota. In those states, there's very little African American vote, and Hillary obviously can't count on it to save her. So my judgment is that if Sanders remains competitive and aggressive, and Hillary and things stay as they are, Hillary will not win Super Tuesday. The best she'll do is break even, and she'll probably lose it. That then sends her into the March 15th winner-take-all primaries in Missouri, Ohio, Florida, and Illinois. Illinois, I don't think, is winner take all. And in those states, and there's an intervening primary between the early March of Michigan. And in those states, Hillary is going to have a very serious problem because Bernie at the moment would win those states. And none of those states is really leveraged by a huge African American population. There are lots of blacks, of course, in Illinois, but not enough to control a statewide Democratic primary. So it's going to be a very tough situation. And those who feel that Hillary will recover in March and really do well, I think are in for a surprise. Thanks for watching.